was that he was shot. He was shot in the head. And I still don't know why. I still don't know why. But we all gathered together and do our best to console one another because we just lost a very, very close member of our family. So, the next day, we go get new clothes for the funeral, and we buy him a suit to wear in the casket. So, after we're done with that, we go to the worst part. The worst part. The worst part, which is the viewing. The viewing which comes before the funeral. And we get there, and Nana and Pop were the first to go in, and I was all the way, we parked across the street, but I could hear her scream from inside the building, all the way across the street. And we walked in, and it was absolutely horrible. It was absolutely horrible. It's the worst experience of my life. And we all cried. He's laying in the casket, and he's got a white bandage wrapped around his head. And, of course, as children, me and my cousins have no idea how to process this type of sadness. And so, we just cry. And we cried for maybe, I don't know how long, but it was hours. It was hours. And so, after the viewing, we left. After the viewing, we left, and we prepared for the funeral the next day. So we go to we all draw pictures to put in the casket at the funeral, and once it's time to go to the funeral, we get in the limo. My one and only limo ride was to So